Hi, this is Evan, or Digilogix Audio. This is another little audio tutorial, and today I'm going to be talking about digital aliasing, and I'm going to define what I mean when I say a nonlinearity, but I will come back to that later. So, what is aliasing? Aliasing is a phenomenon in digital signal processing where frequencies up to one half of the system's update frequency can be properly reproduced. The update frequency, also known as the sampling rate, can only represent signals up to one half of the sampling rate, or the Nyquist frequency. I will I will refer to it as Nyquist for short. So frequencies that go beyond the Nyquist frequencies cannot be reproduced correctly, and they will appear to mirror downwards. That mirroring phenomenon, it appears to give the signal a new frequency or a new identity, a new alias. It's audio aliasing. That's where that term comes from. So, let's see, I just lost my place. A frequency will appear to mirror at Nyquist. An ascending frequency will appear to mirror downwards at Nyquist. Why is the Nyquist frequency significant? Well, to represent a frequency like a sine wave, which is, just one spectral component. Sorry about the lecturing. I'll start with visuals here very shortly. You need a positive and a negative value at least to represent that frequency. If the wavelength is shorter than two samples, then you can be positive that it will be beyond the Nyquist frequency and therefore be aliasing. And I will show you this mirroring phenomenon pretty well here in just a second. So, if you were to try to sweep this frequency beyond Nyquist and then keep ascending in frequency, the mirrored down, the aliased component, sometimes I will say fold over, I'm referring to aliasing frequencies. It will also appear to mirror back upwards at 0 hertz or DC. So, just to warn you, I'm going to be playing some pretty nasty sounds here just in a second. They're not going to be loud, but in case you have this video turned way up, I'll give you like 10 seconds to turn me down. So, if you had a system with a sampling rate of 48,000 hertz, which I'm running I'm running at 44.1k. But let's say you were using 48k sampling rate just to make the math a little easier. That means you have a Nyquist frequency of 24,000 hertz. Let's say you tried to reproduce 24,001 hertz. It would reflect down and it would appear as 23,999 hertz. If you tried to create 24,010 hertz, it will be misrepresented as 23,990 hertz. So the issue is the system that's trying to reproduce the frequency. In general, we just try to not create these frequencies in the first place, but it's really pretty unavoidable. Okay, I'm going to start making some noises. Make sure I'm down. Turn down. Okay, you can hear that? So, what is a nonlinearity? A nonlinearity is a term that is referring to the use of a saturator. I use the term nonlinearity specifically when referring to saturators. What's a saturator? A saturator is at the core of any distortion unit. I also hate just the term distortion because that's used for good and bad sounds. It's like a guitar distortion, for example. It uses a saturator to create this effect that the ear interprets as, oh, something is very, very loud. So A nonlinearity is a saturator. I'm going to apply a saturator to this sine wave you see here on the spectrum analyzer. It's just one frequency. With the nonlinear shaping, it gets all of these additional overtones right here. So I'm going to slowly sweep this up very high, and you will see that as frequencies would move off the right side of this display, they will reflect and start moving downwards. That's the folding over phenomenon. That's the aliasing. So let's hear it. Oh, I won't need to point out the audible components of the aliasing. You'll pick up on them. So it's the aliasing that makes this sound horrible. Oh man, that's just painful. All the weird sounds, those are the frequencies getting misrepresented. So the sine wave that I'm using here is not above Nyquist. It's gonna be right here on the spectrum analyzer. So that's 6,215 or 6,300 hertz. Sorry. So I'm going to apply a little pitch modulation just to make it a little easier to see on the spectrum analyzer. So it's kind of like slow vibrato, but you'll see how this helps here in a second. So I'm now going to bring the distortion back, and that will sound like this. Everything that you see moving horizontally, those are all aliased components, and it just makes them easier to quickly spot when looking at a spectrum analyzer. So once again, here's without the distortion, and that's with. So this example is way over the top. Get it? I'm such a nerd. I'm going to now slowly start bringing this frequency downwards, and I want you to look for, stop moving, all of these frequencies, they will move upwards, and then as they get low enough and they drop back down into the sub-Nyquist frequency range, you know, below, I guess my Nyquist frequency is 22,050 hertz, you will see that they are in this nice organized pattern that we were looking at before. So let's do it. You see how they are moving upwards, and also notice how they are reflecting off of 0 hertz right here. Oh, this guy's about to do it. But as I move them up, they reflect downwards. And there's the nice, predictable harmonic overtone that the distortion is applying. So, okay, back to these horrible high sounds. So, if you do have, okay, so distortion units are notorious, saturators are notorious for inducing a whole bunch of aliasing. Guitarists, you know quite a bit about saturators. Any guitar distortion pedal is using a saturator. That's the thing that you're doing. That's what you're hearing. So I have applied to this nonlinearity that I'm using two really sick anti-aliasing methods: antiderivative anti-aliasing and Eflin Lebovic's infinite linear oversampling method, and they just make the aliased frequencies go away. So there is without the anti-aliasing. I will now turn them on one at a time. You can still kind of hear them a little bit. That is impressive. So what we are seeing here, there are two frequencies that are less than the Nyquist frequency. There is the fundamental right here at 6,300 hertz. This is going to be the third harmonic, or 18,000 something hertz. Let me double check that. Yes, 18,000 hertz right there. And the other frequencies, you see them reflecting off of Nyquist right there. They just get suppressed down to silence. And if you keep going up, it becomes less effective, but just to compare, okay, we can hear that. Let's turn off the anti-aliasing. That is so impressive. So here is no anti-aliasing. Here is with anti-aliasing. Here is without, and with, without, with. You may think, oh, I'm not going to be playing any notes up that high. That's not going to be a problem. Incorrect. If you use a saw wave, you're going to be aliasing at just about any point in time, no matter how low you play it. So all of these artifacts, the aliased frequencies I'm referring to, they come up in the mastering stage. That is when limiting, compression, equalization is just going to make them very obvious. And though you may not hear aliasing from your synthesizers before mastering, you sure as hell will afterwards. So, oh yes, and why do I use the term nonlinearity? That's actually very, very simple. So let me switch to a sawtooth wave here. A sawtooth. Look right here at this display, not this one. This one is not going to change. Or you can look at the scope. That is a linear waveform. It's just a straight line and jumps all the way back up. So let's apply some nonlinear shaping. Look, it's no longer a straight line. It's not linear, nonlinear. That's where the term comes from. Just to sum up, digital aliasing is when frequencies that would exceed the Nyquist limit mirror down into the audio band, and the term nonlinearity refers to the use, or any time that I'm going to use nonlinearity, I'm specifically referring to the use of saturators. This is going to be very, very relevant information anytime I'm talking about my filter project, because I'm dropping that term every 3 seconds. But aliasing, nonlinearity, that's everything for today. Thanks so much for watching. Like, subscribe, leave any comments or questions. And there are no such things as stupid questions. This audio stuff and science in general is complicated. It's confusing. Please ask me questions. There are no stupid questions. Have a great rest of your day.